What the are you doing here, little buddy? Have a rest. Just relax. Take a load off your feet.
Welcome to Antimatters. Hello everyone. Special episode today, Anting in Devon. Spring edition. This weekend, with the weather on my side, I went out for my first anting trip of 2025. Safe to say, it definitely wasn't a letdown. So let's get on the ground. To start the season off, I thought I'd go to a local area near me known as Woodbury Common. I know some good spots around here, but the first place I looked was a rubbish pine forest. Areas like this are usually pretty dry for ants. That didn't stop me going in though to check it out. I spotted a nice pebble in a sunny patch, so I decided to give it a flip. Underneath, a small little centipede I thought. Then I pulled back the leaf. Oh, a giant adult as well. I believe this is a centipede in the Geophilidae genus. In previous years, I've had no luck in this little patch of forest finding anything at all. This area has everything they need. There's plenty of springs supplying fresh water and loads of rotting logs providing a great nesting habitat. The only thing that's really missing are the insects. There must be some about, but they're not showing themselves. Hidden under a rock nearby, I bet there's hundreds, but I can't find any. Frustratingly, rhododendrons are taking over as well. Not many bugs like these, so it's a bit of a write-off here. Let's move on. Opposite the patch of trees, there was a lovely meadow of grass. In the spring sunlight, it was absolutely glorious. You could see the waves of wind sweeping over the grass. I could have stayed here for hours. Apart from looking good, this grassland also provides a plentiful supply of bugs for the surrounding areas. It wasn't long before I spotted this cranefly staggering up the path. Likely he'd blown off the field. Craneflies are actually one of the oldest types of flies. They've been around for over 245 million years. Something else that also arrived about 240 million years ago are all of these pebbles. It was around this time that they were deposited here. Eventually, after maybe half a mile of walking up the path, it opens up to heathland. I've now entered a triple SI, or a Site of Special Scientific Importance. That means that the whole area is protected. If you mess stuff up, you can actually get a proper telling off. Triple SI status is in relation to nightjars and a few other birds that call this place home. Immediately upon entering the heath though, I spotted this peacock butterfly. She is absolutely beautiful. The vibrant orange wings have 4 little eyes on them. They're proper pearlescent. This is why they're called peacock butterflies, because their wings are really shiny, like a peacock's feathers. Eventually the butterfly left, and I carried on. Up ahead, a really dramatic sign. Basically, the Marines do some training up here, but I love this little sign here. Danger, risk of explosion. Do not touch any military debris or suspicious objects. It may explode and kill you. Not what you want to hear when you spend half your time rustling through the undergrowth. Oh, I forgot to mention, I was also accompanied by Penny, my ant hound. Today's walk would mainly consist of walking along this line of silver birch trees. Their unique location between a heathland and a field allows them to house an amazing amount of life. Anyway, to the woods! Plant-wise, this whole area is terrible to be honest. There's brambles, holly and ivy, along with the silver birch. That's about it. You'd think there really isn't much food for anything to eat. That's where the heathland and the meadows come in handy though. generating an endless supply of food. It wasn't long before I spotted my first ant. Formica rufa, of course. This is an ideal habitat for them. As ants go, Formica rufa are quite big, often reaching 1 centimetre in size. They're extremely aggressive as well. They don't shy away from running straight at you. It wouldn't surprise me if they evolved that red patch on their body to warn other animals to stay away. We're dangerous. 100 metres on from the ants, I spotted this peculiar fly. At first, I thought it was a bee. However, the eyes are a dead giveaway that it isn't. Bee eyes look like ant eyes, whereas this girl's eyes are completely different. This is a bulb fly, a bumblebee mimic. Certainly fooled me for a little bit. It wasn't until editing the footage that I identified that this weird bee wasn't a bee. These flies live all across the UK and you might have seen them before and not even noticed. I've got to say, for a fly, they're pretty impressive. You may be wondering why heathland would be a good environment for ants. It does seem, and is pretty barren and inhospitable really. It does have one benefit though that other habitats don't really have. Every few years this whole area will burn down. This will kill the vast majority of the insect life. After it's all destroyed, the plants will quickly come back, shortly followed by a fresh wave of insects. If you've ever seen a population graph where there's a boom as well, you'll notice that the highest point is as the boom ends before dipping again. Environments like this have more of these booms, which the ants and nearby birds and other insects are happy to start chowing down on. Anyway, I was minding my own business, walking down the path. What do I spot again? Oh, another bumblebee! With the sun directly on my screen, I couldn't see a thing, but I managed to get this great shot of the gorse. Look how lovely and fresh all of these new shoots are. Nearly, there we go. It seemed the population of these flies was doing pretty good around here. They certainly seem to enjoy sunbathing as well. I don't blame them, it was a lovely day. The bulb fly is also lucky that it's not summer. If that were the case, the whole place would be full of millions of wood ants. Anything found sunbathing would become supper. Their peace won't last forever. As the trail winded on, the number of rufa was going up and up and up. Suddenly, whilst filming, unlike all the other rufa I'd seen that day, I saw one with a fly in her mouth. I was proper chuffed about this because I was hoping she would lead me to her nest. There must be at least 20 large Formica rufa mounds scattered throughout these woods. However, I can't find anything. Eventually, the little worker disappeared under the undergrowth and I never saw her again. Desperate times call for desperate measures though. My phone has an integrated infrared camera. It basically allows me to crack open predator vision. For 99% of ants, this camera would be absolutely useless. But Formica rufa, they're another type of beast. If any ant was going to give off a thermal signature, it was going to be them. I began inspecting the hotspots. A lot of patches looked promising, however when I got a closer look, a few ants, but no nest. After going down a few more dead ends with the infrared camera, I decided to go back to standard. I glanced back at Pen and noticed that she was sitting miles back up the path. This could only mean one thing. She hates Formica rufa, so there must be loads nearby. I turned around, looked at the tree, and what do I see? Bam! A massive motorway of Formica rufa. One thing I love about the Formica rufa is they don't hesitate to climb up trees. To a lot of ants that's a no-go, but these girls will climb them and they conquer them. When they're hungry, they'll swarm a tree in their thousands and push all of the insects and animals that live in the tree higher and higher until they can't go any further. Anything in the tree that can't get away becomes dinner. And I mean everything as well. These girls are not fussy. Beetles, caterpillars, wasps, butterflies, even baby birds, all on the menu. When they arrive though, there is only one option: run. I observed the Formica in the tree for quite a while and became quite curious as to what they were up to. I didn't see any of them coming down with any food, and it was quite windy, so I figured you can't really sun yourself if you're getting blown cold. Perhaps they were sunning themselves not for the infrared though, but for the ultraviolet rays. It is suspected that Formica species use the ultraviolet rays in spring to help them get rid of the parasites that they've acquired during their winter hibernation. All the ants I saw certainly seemed pretty clean of mites. I did spot one ant with a mouth full of moss. I'm not sure what she was up to. This is usually used for nesting material, but she was going up the tree. It's a mystery that'll have to remain unsolved for today. Unfortunately, the Triple SI and the military firing range mean I can't fly my drone up the tree. It's a no-fly zone. On a geology tangent, pebbled heaths, it's in the name, are mostly pebbles. In between the pebbles is sand, which means that this whole environment is highly susceptible to erosion. Even a small stream can cut out quite an impressive ravine. If left to nature, this area would be about 6 foot deeper, I reckon. However, some slats have been put in. These help to contain the pebbles. Downstream, an easily 10-foot deep crevice has been carved out. It's hard to see how deep it is, but you'd certainly feel it if you fell down it. I may like the management solution, but Penny certainly isn't a fan. Crossing the stream, I spotted my first Lasius niger. There's probably hundreds around, but they're hiding from the Formica, I bet. With a break in the hedge, I noticed, a new field. This one seemed pretty natural as well, so I decided to pull out the infrared camera again. The chances of finding a big Formica nest had just shot right up. I changed into predator mode. This tree really caught my attention. It was roasting. It definitely needed a closer look. Even from afar, I noticed there was quite a few ants. At the base of the tree, in a small crevice that was protected from the wind, I spotted loads of workers sunbathing in a bundle. For a little bit I got excited and thought, maybe we'll get a glimpse of a queen. But it turned out I think they were just sunbathing in a group and grooming each other. It's not uncommon to see Formica queens though walking around in the wild with a whole entourage of workers mobbing them. A few ants though, but no nest. At this point I was getting annoyed. Where the hell were all the ants hiding? I knew there had to be some around here somewhere because I'd seen so many ants. Looking back along the path, this tree looked quite good. There was a couple of really warm spots around it. Maybe if I didn't find any more soon. That's when I turned the corner and was drawn to this little hotspot in the bank. As I moved in, it looked better and better for a place to find ants. And then I took my eyes off of the screen and looked. Oh my god, the whole floor had TV static. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Formica were swarming the floor, sunbathing. I immediately got down on my hands and knees and began filming. This was just what I'd been looking for though, and I was over the moon. Most years I save my anting for summer. That's great for watching the Formica hunt things, however, it means I totally miss their sunbathing in spring. In spring 2021, I found a colony of maybe 50,000 Formica sunbathing, and I thought it was pretty impressive, however this just blows it out of the water. The nest itself seems to have been damaged over winter. I do see a lot of ants though carrying little bits of sticks. It won't take them long to rebuild this as a huge mound. Random side note as well, their acid smells different in spring than it does to autumn. Being right next to a path, these ants often get trodden on. It was a bit weird to see them taking one of the bodies back to the nest. I guess they're going to feed it to some babies. I admired the ants for about 20 minutes in total before deciding to follow one of the ants' motorways. I walked a good 300 metres from the nest, and it was still going. Abruptly, after about 400 metres of ant motorway, they branched off into a load of bushes that I couldn't be asked to go through. I was getting hungry, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to turn back, have some lunch, I think. Daydreaming as I was walking along, I became a little bit curious as to how close I could go with the infrared camera. I spotted a rock with some ants on and put the camera about 10 centimetres away. I then witnessed something amazing. Well, I thought it was. I could see the ants' heat signature. This may seem like a pretty useless thing to see, however it enables you to see the flow of ants. If you look closely here, you can see all of the ants from the left are cold. All of the ants from the right are a little bit warmer though. If I can figure where the hot ones are coming from, either the nest or the outside, I can work out the flow. And then backtrack to find the nest. Obviously as well, I had to try this newfound trick on the main nest. Watching the ants of different temperatures move around was really interesting. My mind also drifted off onto quantum physics. This is how I imagine things look at the smallest level, if you add a load of rainbow colours. The cold blue spots here are the nest entrances, and you can see the cold ants. Sometime later, I again parted way with the nest. Penny was super happy to get away from the roofer. I think she had a few stubborn Klingons that wouldn't get off. There aren't really too many things to flip inside of these woods. A few logs. The fact that it's a triple SI means that I'm reluctant to start digging holes as well. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. It's best in some cases to just leave everything be. It had been a lovely walk though, and the weather was absolutely perfect. I couldn't have wished for a better day. It seemed the plants also agreed. I was quite happy when I saw on some of the brambles that new shoots had started springing out. It may just be a leaf cutter owner thing, but it does make me happy when I see fresh bramble leaves are coming. I knew as I plodded along that it wouldn't be long until this whole forest looked completely different. All the trees and bushes were about to get a fresh new set of leaves. All of the invertebrates as well that had called this place home were about to get eaten by big red ants too. I flipped a couple more rocks but had no luck in that department. However, I then saw a butterfly. This is a brimstone butterfly. Butterflies are actually called butterflies after this butterfly. Its wings are the same yellow as butter, hence the name butterfly. That's enough of the word butterfly anyway for this week. Flip a stone, win a prize. No luck this time. It was nice to see all the butterflies out. They're likely feeding on all the gorse flowers. They'll lay their little caterpillar eggs soon, which will emerge into caterpillars, which can then be eaten by the ants. Sadly, for the majority of the caterpillars though, that is their fate. That or a bird. As a parting gift, I pinched a weed from the hedge. I want to try this plant on my leaf cutters. I admired the view one last time and headed home to have some lunch. Hope you enjoyed today's episode anyway. Thanks for watching. Until next time, may your ants live long and prosper, have a fabulous week, and bye!